Okay, so we're starting on the top of the Dalet Amud Aleph, and it's really in the middle of a sugya. The Mishnah had said on Daf Yomi Gimel, the Mishnah had said it's the list of the 17 Eskalim, and the Mishnah says one of them is Haba.
I think it's 18.
What?
I think it's 18.
18? Okay.
I think so.
I got 17, but maybe I missed one.
No. I'm pulling over here. So I learned it already.
Yeah.
I looked at the Mishnah.
Yeah. I'm just going over because the context for now. So it said Haba la'ain, chayav le mishum ein mishum yeshasav. The Mishnah said that someone who's boil his mother, is chayav two things. One, he's chayav out to boil his mother, and one, he's chayav out to boil his wife's husband. I'm sorry, his father's wife. I said that backwards.
Right.
His father's wife. So it's two separate things. One is his mother, one is his father's wife.
Right.
Rabbi Yehuda says, he's only chayav al tzta'im. And the Gemara on Beis, and this is the Gemara you just said you learned, goes back and forth, tries to find the Makar for Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara comes out that Rava holds that the pasuk, when it says, Erva Savicha, the Ervas Imcha Leisagala Imchahi, the Imchahi is a mere to say als in misham ima yatim chayv misham eshazav. So he's a special limud. So now the Gemara is going to go through both Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. And the Gemara is going to start off with the Braya that Rava's Pshat and Rabbi Yehuda is correct. Tanya Kavasa de Rava. We learned the Brisa as a Raya to Rava. Now this Brisa, Rashi tells us, is a Brisa in Sifra, in Stam Sifra Rabbi Yehuda. So if this Brisa stems with Rabbi Yehuda, with what we said, that Rava said that Rabbi Yehuda holds, then it's going to be a Raya that Rava is saying the correct Pshat in Rabbi Yehuda. Right. What's the Brisa? Ish. It says in the Pasuk, Ish. This is not the same Pasuk as we were learning until now. It's a new pasuk. The pasuk before was Parshas Achreimis. This is the pasuk I believe in Parshas Emar. The pasuk is Ve'isha asher yishka v'seishas aviv. Somebody who's boil his father's wife. Ervas avila is megala, the erva of his father. Moisim sushneim d'meim bam. They should both die d'meim bam. Their blood is on them. That's their own fault. So this pasuk is talking about the einish. Before we were talking about what we call the azhara. You're not allowed to do it. It's in Nachraimis. That's the pasuk. Erva seish savich le'segala erva savich lehi. And over here we're talking about the einish. So the Gemara is darshaning this pasuk, and the pasuk starts off ish prat l'katan. Ish, when a person is boil his mother, Ishes Aviv, that's not a katan. Asher yishka v'seishes aviv, mashma bein asher Ishes Aviv. So the Gemara, that's a good question. And on the side, in the newer Gemaras, I don't know if it's in the older Gemaras, and Taisus also brings it down, it talks about this question that you're asking, and Taisus says, other Rishonim say, two pshatim. One is we're coming to say, prat l'katan, a katan under 9. Because a katan above 9, his bia is a bia. His bia is a bia. It's called the bia, and therefore we're trying to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're saying even a katan above 9 would be excluded. You'd have a having who would be included, even though because it's parvia. Because a katan above 9, the other person will get killed. So let's say a katan, a 10-year-old boy, is by his mother. Right. The mother and Bertzaina, the mother will get killed, even though the son won't. So that's why it has to prat katan. The other shot is
similar to Asher Yisrael.
That's the other pshat. The other pshat is, I think he quotes from the Smag, I could be misremembering, that Yahavamina would be just like when a person does, I'm going to say later on in the Mishnah over here, that when a person is Bayal, Raveya, and Nerva, he has business with an animal, the halach is you have to kill the animal. What did the animal do? And so the answer is it's Rizayin to have this thing that the Avera was done with it. So maybe you'd have that same svara for a katan, and the Gemara says, no, that's not the pasuk is coming to say no, prat l'katan. Okay, so then Vaitra in the pasuk, Asher Yishka v'seishes aviv, he's boil his father's wife, Mashma b'nei shesav v'shi whether it's his father's wife who is his mother, b'nei shesav aviv shalai imai. Maybe, or if it's father's wife who's not his mother, so his father has a different wife.
A stepmother.
Yeah. How about his mother, who's not his father's wife? Let's say his father was mizana with somebody, right? So how do you know that there's an isser and he was born? How do you know there's an isser for him to be bail? Her Tamalaymar, or how do you know that actually? I'm sorry, that they should get the punishment. Tamalaymar, the pasuk says, Ervas Aviv Gila. In this pasuk it says he was Megala, the erva of his father. Mufna, and this is open, it's extra. To learn from this, Gzer Shava, it said to tell you that just like we said by the pasuk of Ervas Avicha, Ervas Imchale Segala, so it says Ervas Avicha over there, so you're going to learn over there that's talking, just like over there it's talking about Imay She'enei Eishes Aviv, over here also it's talking about Imay She'enei Eishes Aviv. Moisium Su, Vaichin Pasuk says Moisium Su means Beskila, they get Skila. In fact, the Gemara, this is the Brisa still speaking. In fact, the Brisa, Beskila Yen El Bachs Mikol Misa Moros B'Torah. Maybe it's one of the other misas. A nemer kan demeim bam, but never by v'yidani demeim bam. Over here it says in the pasuk by Eishes Av demeim bam. And by the Isra of v'yidani it says demeim bam. And over there in that pasuk by v'yidani it says very mefurish be'evan yirgum waisam demeim bam. They get skila. So you malalan b'skila afkam b'skila. So just like over there is a skila, over here also is skila. Einish shamanu. So this pasuk tells us the einish as harminayin. How do you know that you're not allowed to do it? Hamleimar erva savicha le'segala erva savicha zu eishes savicha. It says erva savicha le'segala. This is the pasuk we had on Nun Gimel Amud Beis. In Achreimes. Erva Savicha Zu Eishes Savicha. When it says Erva Savicha, it means Eishes Savicha. And I just want to say, because we're going to come out later, like the Rabbanon, the Machlekes to some degree comes down to how you're darshan Erva Savicha. The Rabbanon learn that this Erva Savicha is don't be mezana with your father, Mishkav Zachar, right? And therefore, how do you know that the pasuk is talking about Eishes Av, who's the mother? You don't have to meet, you need it for other things, like we're going to see. But Rav Yehuda, and this is the Stam Brisa, like Rav Yehuda says, Erev Savich Leskal is not talking about the father himself, it means Eishes Avicha. That's where you know Eishes Avicha. Ata Emer Eishes Avicha, you're telling me Eishes Avicha, Yeina Erev Avicha, Mamish, maybe it's Mamish the father, like the Rabbanan Taka hold, you can't be Masana with your father. And the Gemara, Nemer Kan Erev Savich Leskala, Nemer Lahalon, Erev Avgila. It says over here, Erev Savich Leskala, it's Pasuk Remes. And it said in Emar Ervas Aviv Gila. We said that Gzer Shava. Just like over there, we're talking about Ishus when there's marriage, because in that pasuk in Emor it says Mefurish as Eishes Aviv, so you know it's talking about Ishus. Afkan Ishus Akasam Medaber. So here also we're talking about the situation of marriage. Mashma Bein Eishes Aviv Sheimai, Bein Eishes Aviv Sheimai, and it's mashma that we're talking about whether it's his father's wife who is his mother or his father's wife who's not his mother. How do you know his mother who's not his father's wife? So pasuk says Ervas Imchale Segala that this pasuk in Achreimes that says don't do znus with your mother. Ervas Imcha. Eli Elabaz Hara Sha'asa Kasav Imay She'ina Eishes Aviv Imay She'eshes Aviv. I only know by the Azhara, by the Lav. This is the pasuk in Achreimes that the Torah says Imay, who's not his mother, who's not his father's wife, is like his mother, who is his father's wife.
Yeah, but the lady is an Eishes. That alone he should be chayiv.
No, who says she's an Eishes? She might never married him.
She was married him.
Maybe they're divorced. Maybe they never had to start with. He was Mizana with her.
But once there's a relationship built up, it stays. Like,
but that's what Torah is saying.
Like a daughter-in-law, let's say, gets divorced from your son.
Yeah.
And then she gets married, also us to you.
Right. So the pasuk is saying this is the Gemara is trying to be marba. I think what you're asking, your case of Imai, that's Eina Eishes Aviv. The guy's mother is not his father's wife. Maybe he divorced her. Maybe she never was the wife to start with. Maybe he was ma'anas her. Maybe he was mafata her.
Right.
Maybe they were mizana, right? So the Gemara says, so now, but we know by the Azhara, because of what we just said, that Imai, who's not his father's wife, is the same halacha as Imai, who is his father's wife. How about by Einish B'nayin? How about the pasuk in Emor that says Mos Yimsu, that they get an Einish? How do you know that that includes a scenario of his mother who's not his father's wife? We go back to the Gzer Shava. You have the Gzer Shava between these two psukim. Just like by the Azhara, the Torah said that his mother, who's not his father's wife, is just like his mother, who is his father's wife. By Einish also, the Torah says that the Imai, who is not his father's wife, is just like the Imai, who is his father's wife, and therefore they'll still get skila. And now this is the last line in the Brisa, and this is the most important line. Imchahi, this is the drasha of the last words of the pasuk in of Ervas Aviv. Which pasuk is it? Imchahi, the pasuk in Achraymes. The last words, almost the last words of the pasuk in Achraymes. Imchahi, b'shem imei atem machayvai. In this situation, you're machayv him als his mother. V'atem machayv him shemesh esav, and you're not machayv him alish esav. So let's say he did it b'sheigeg. Right, he was boil his mother. He didn't realize it was his mother, or he didn't realize that his mother's asar me'echad meis tam sheiyah. Whatever it was, he was boil b'sheig. Now he has to bring karma chatas. Does it bring two chatais? Because he did two things. He did eshes av and he did his mother, or one chatas. On this, the pasuk says imchahi als imayata mechayvay. You're not mechayvay him at eshes av. That supersedes, and there's only one isser over here that has to bring a chatas for. And this is the zak the Gemara. This is a rayod like Rava, because this is how Rava explains Rabbi Yehuda. And Stam Zafras Rabbi Yehuda. So you see a raya like Rava. That's the Gemara. That's the raya. But now that we learned Pshat in Rabbi Yehuda, the Gemara wants to know what about the Rabbanon? What do the Rabbanon know? Rabbanon Ervas Avicha Mamish. You're telling me that Rabbi Yehuda learned Ervas Avicha means the Eishes Av. But Rabbanon learned that Ervas Avicha is his father. You're not allowed to be Mizana with a person, not allowed to be Mizana with his father. What?
His father or
his father? His father. Ervas Avicha, it says Ervas Avicha ve'Ervas Simchlei Segala. The Rabbanon learns that is don't be Mizana with your father of Mishkav Zachar, right? And don't be Mizana with your father's wife, right? Correct the Gemara. What do you need a pasuk for this? We learned this out from the Mufurish pasuk that Zachar l'Sishkav Mishkav Aisha that says you're not allowed to have Mishkav Zachar. So for the Gemara, l'chayev olav shtayim, to be mechayev him two averis, that somebody who's mezana with his father will be chayev als being mezana with his father, and will be mechayev als mishkav zachar. Uch Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda said, nachri, pashtus nachri means a guy, right? That's the word nachri usually. Nachri, habal aviv, a guy who pashtus, a guy who is boil his father, chayev shtayim, is chayev two chatayis. Habal achi aviv, and somebody who's boil his father's brother, also chayev shtayim, is going to be chayev too.
Now, how do you know it's the father?
Because we it's a good question, but the answer is because we paskin roiv be'ilas achar abal, that when a person is married to a man is married to a woman, we assume, unless we have a reason to know otherwise, that the kid comes from the father. No, but the Maisa is not talking about a guy. So hold that thought. Amar Rava says, Mistavra Milsad Rabbi Yehuda b'Yisrael sheigig of a carbon. We're talking about a Yisrael who's doing the aveira b'sheigig. And the shaila on the table is b'karban. Chayev shtayim doesn't mean chayev two misas. It means a carbon, right? V'hai dekamar nachri. Why does it say nachri a guy? Lishlam al yehu. You want to say lishlam al a nice lashon. You don't want to say a yid's doing these averas. And it has to be like this. If it's talking about a real guy, dina imayni. What's his din? Ktala. The halacha is that a guy who does a shaygig, nasal shaygig kemezed. That his shaygig is like a mezid. So he's going to get misa. So betray Catholic slay. You're saying chayev shtayim. He's going to chayev two. You kill him twice? You can't do that. It's not possible, right? What? Yeah, but what does it say chayev shtayim? What's the chiddush? Chayev shtayim. It should be chayev misa. What's chayev shtayim? We're trying to say chiddush over here. The answer is we're talking about a Yisrael, and he's doing a b'shaygig, and now he has to bring two chatayis, two different affairs.
Tanya Mehachi.
Tanyana Mihachi. We learned like this also in a brayso. Haba al aviv chayav shtayim. Haba al achi aviv chayav shtayim. Someone whose boil his father is chayav 2, and someone whose boil his father's brother is chayav 2. Ikidamri Gluck Rabbi Yehuda. Ikidamri afilu came Rabbi Yehuda.
How about his mother's brother?
His mother's brother?
Same thing.
Well, he's definitely going to be chayav 1 because of Mishkav Sachar. Yeah. I don't know if there's a pasuk that says about his mother's brother. I don't know the answer. Probably as we go through the Masechta, we'll see. If such a pasuk exists, we'll see it. So this brayso there are some who learn that this can go not like Rav Yehuda, who we were talking about before, who said chayav shtayim, but Rabbi Yehuda, our Rabbi Yehuda of our Mishnah, that said that someone who's boil his mother is only chayav 1. He's not chayav als eishes aviv. So some say it's not like Rabbi Yehuda because it says abal aviv chayav shtayim, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, l'chara you'd say the same. You'd say that when it says erva savicha, it's talking about the father's wife. It's not talking about being boil the father, right? So it has to be like the Rabbanon who says erva savicha talking about boil the father, and that's what we chayav too. That's how some said. But the Ikadamri, I feel Rabbi Yehuda, some say it could even be Rabbi Yehuda who holds this, and still chayav 2. What's the pasuk? How do we know that you're going to be chayav an extra isser for being boil your father? You learn from a kal v'chemer from Achiav. Achiav has a pasuk. Ma Achiav to be korva the avivu chayav shtayim of your father's brother, who is a relative. He's not close like your father. He's a relative. He's the korva the avivu is your father's relative. You're chayav 2. Aviv, a person mizana with his father, like Koshkin, for sure he's chayav 2 because it's even closer relationship. So for sure it's an isser. So you'd be chayav 2. But Zak the Gemara, this is not so pasha because this is an old machlekes. But Kamif, we've looked at the Abaye v'Rava, and there's going to be totally in the machlekes of Abaye and Rava. Mar saver einshin minadin, Mar saver in einshin minadin. One holds that you could bring an einish, you can chayav somebody in einish using a kal v'chemer. We know the halacha is that kal v'chemer is a deraisa, right? But even though kal v'chemer is a deraisa, it's a machlekes Abaye v'Rava. If you could use that to be mechayev a person in einish. So one holds einshin minadin, and if you hold einshin minadin, then it makes sense. If the chiyav is chayiv, then certainly the father's chayiv. Plus your chayiv als v'zachar l'sishka mishka v'isha als mishka v'zachar. So maybe you have 2. But if you hold ein einshin minadin, the only isser you have is einish you have is als but you don't have a pasuk specifically saying that a person is boya of boya's father is going to be chayiv, unless you go like the Rabbanon. Rabbanon have erva savicha, but again, if you go according to Rabbi Yehuda, he uses erva savicha for eishes av, like we said before. Track the Gemara. 1 second. How did the Rabbanan know the Azhara for Eishes Aviv? How did they know that there's an Isser for Eishes Aviv? Because what? So the Gemara says they learned it out from the pasuk of in Achremis Ervas Eishes Avicha Leisegala, and that tells you for Eishes Aviv. However, how does Rabbi Yehuda know that? Rabbi Yehuda, what does he use that for? Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda doesn't need it because he already has Ervas Imcha, Ervas Avicha. I mean, that tells you that you can't be your father's wife. So what does he need this pasuk for? He says this is what you said before, Shmuel, that this is talking about even after the father died, still the mother stays us, or else Eishes Av. Rabbanan, whom we say for the Kranafko, we learned that out from the end of that pasuk. Pasuk finishes off and says, Ervas Avicha he, that he means Vaviyasate. She always stays in this situation of being Ervas Avicha even after he dies. Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda says, no, that comes to tell you the only chayav al Eishes Av and not al Eishes Ish. So a very similar language to what we said Rabbi Yehuda holds by Eishes, by Imai. Fragt the Gemara that this doesn't stem with our Mishnah. We said that someone who's boiled his father's wife is chayiv al Isha, who's not his mother. It's chayiv an Isha Sav. But Maisa, if he's married to her, b'shas Maisa, she's also an Isha Sish. So he's chayiv too. And that's in our Mishnah. V'loy palag Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda doesn't argue on this. So how can you say over here, Rabbi Yehuda is coming to tell you that in such a situation you would only be one Isser? Because if that was the case, he should have argued in the Mishnah, just like he argued in the Reisha of the Mishnah. By Imai. Abaye says, you're right. The Maisa, he doesn't say it in the Mishnah, but he says this in the Brisa. And he says it in the Brisa, that's enough. You could learn that. You can learn it from there. Okay. How do they know that Eishes Aviv, the Einish, still happens even after Misa? Rabbi Yehuda can learn it from Gzera Shava, from Erva Savicha, to learn out that it happens even after Misa. How did the Rabbanan know it? Because the Rabbanan don't use the Gzera Shava. The Gemara says, Hahu Erva Sav Gila, the Mapikla Rabbi Yehuda Gzera Shava, Mafkla Inhu La'inish Teisha Saviv, La'achar Misa. Where it says the second time, the Ervas Aviv Gila, that pasuk the Rabbi Yehuda used for Gzera Shava. The Rabbanan don't use the Gzera Shava. So what do they do for it? They use this to tell you, and that's by the Einish, that's written in the Emar, where it says Mois Yumas. That's coming to tell you the Einish of Eishes Aviv, even after Misa, that's still considered Ervas Avicha. How did the Rabbanan know an Einish for his mother who's not Eishes Aviv? Right? So that means his father was Ma'anis her, Mafater, Mazana with her, but was never by her. She's not his father's wife. Amar Sheish Breid Ravidi, Amar Kra, Imchahi. Pasuk says, Imchahi, she is your mother. Asal Kasim, Ima Shein Eishes Aviv, Ima Sheishes Aviv, which is really what we started the sugya with, and now we're circling back. This is where Rav Sheisha Breid Ravidi is saying it. Okay. Abal Kolase, someone who's Bail's daughter-in-law. In fact, the Gemara, you're telling me someone who's Bail's daughter-in-law is Chayiv Skila, else being Bail's daughter-in-law, or Chayiv Nami Misham Eishes Benai. You should Chayiv two things. He's being Bail's daughter-in-law, and he's being Bail his son's wife. I thought it was his son's wife.
So fine, is
She's but that's not Gemara's question. I'm Rabbiya, Pasach Kasbe Kalasi, the same Beishas Pnai, Lermelach, Zui Kalasi, Zui Beishas Pnai. The Pasuk says both. What's the language of the Pasuk? It says, Ervas Kalas Chalei Segale, Eishes Pinchahi, Lei Segale Ervasa. It says both in the same Pasuk. Rabbi is saying, when it says Baal Klese, what does this mean? Here is telling us, Baal Klese means Eishes Pnai. Okay. Zak the Mishnah, Masnisen. Haba ala Zachar, we're doing a tiny bit of Chazar from the previous Mishnah. Haba ala Zachar, someone who's by a Zachar, Bala Behema or a Behema, the Isha Maviyas a Behema, or an Isha who brings a Behema to be boil her, the Skila, they all get Skila. In fact, the Gemara, how does the Behema get Skila? In Adam Chata, Behema Machata, what did the Behema do? Ella lefisha ba la'adam takala al yada, since it came out takala to a person through this behema leficha markasav tisakel. Therefore, the Torah said the behema should get skila. Davarachar shleite behema iveres b'shuk v'dem zui shniska p'nei al yada. Or so that different shot is that the behema shouldn't be going around. They shouldn't be saying, "Oh, that was the behema that Yana got skila because of this behema." Gemara.
That sort of makes more logic. The other one, hey, was full man.
Okay, I hear them both. I don't hear one over the other person.
The animal's still innocent. Even though the goal came, but the animal's an animal.
Okay.
But that's sort of...
Maybe that's where the Gemara says, the Mishnah says the Davar Achar. Okay, so Zachar Minala. How do you know that it's usher to do Mishkav Zachar? The Tanur Rabbanan, the Rabbanan learn, Ish Prat L'Katan. This, the pasuk is the pasuk in Parshat Achremais that says not to do Mishkav Zachar. Isha Sheyishkav Zachar Mishkav Isha. I'm sorry, it's not Achremais, this is an Emar. Isha Sheyishkav it's Zachar Mishkav Isha Te'eva Atzu Shneim Nois Yimsu Dneim Ba. So it says Ish Prat L'Kata. The same shot we said before, but the last Ish Prat L'Kata. Ashiyishkav Zachar, he's Ishkav, he has a beer with the Zachar, Ben Gadol, Ben Katan. Whether the Zachar he is having, he is being vile as a Gadol or a Katan. Mishkavei Isha. The Torah is telling us that Bia, both Kedarka and Shalai Kedarka, by a woman is considered Bia, and therefore by a man who doesn't have a Kedarka, only Shalai Kedarka, that's also considered a Bia, and therefore he'll be Chayav. Rabbi Shmuel says, this is coming to teach us something about to teach us about a Zachar that he's Chai by Shloi Kedarka, and it comes out that we learn from here something else, that Mishkavei Isha, that there's two Mishkavais for an Isha. Now, right during the pasuk, Mois Yomsu B'skila. When it says Mois Yomsu, it means B'skila. Anta Omer B'skila, you're telling me it's Skila. Maybe it's one of the other mises that the Torah says. And for the Gemara, never can demand them. But never
I lost you for a second.
Three lines on the bottom. Mois Yomsu, middle of the line. Pasuk says, Mois Yomsu, they get Misa. How do they get Misa? The Gemara says, B'skila. Throughout the Gemara, this is the Brisa, Anta Omer B'skila, you're telling me Skila, Yein El B'achsim, Kol Misa Mors B'Torah. Maybe it's one of the other Misas that the Torah says. And for the Gemara, never can demand them. It says over here by Mishkav Zachar demand them. Never by V'yadayni demand them. And it says by V'yadayni demand them. Ma'alalam B'skila, Afkan B'skila. Just like over there it's Skila, over here it's Skila. Throughout the Gemara, Einish Shamano. From this pasuk in Emar, we have the Einish, Azhara B'nayin. How do you know the Azhara? This is the pasuk in Achremais. That Zachar le'sishkav mishkavei isha tayevihi. It can't be vayel a Zachar with the mishkavei isha. It's a tayeva. Lamanu Azhara la'ishaykhev. This tells us, period. That's the Azhara. Back to Gemara, Lamadu Azhara l'shaykhev. This tells us an Azhara for the bayel. Azhara l'nishkav minayin. The person, the man who gets nival by a Zachar b'ratzayin. How do you know he has the Azhara? Kam leimer lo'yeh kadosh b'nei Yisrael. Pasuk says there shouldn't be a kadosh b'nei Yisrael. What does a kadosh mean? V'aymer, and it says v'gam kadosh hayev ha'aretz asu gechala tayeves ha'goymer shaharish v'goymer. There was a kaddish in the land. They did Gechala Tayeves. And Gechala Tayeves, we said that Mishkav Zachar, the pasuk says is Tayeva. So when it says La'iyah Kaddish, that's an extra Azhara to tell you that you can't do Mishkav Zachar. Divir Rabbi Shmuel. This is what Rabbi Shmuel says. Rabbi Kiva says you don't need this. It says in the pasuk V'Zachar Le'Sishkav Mishkav Isha. This is the pasuk in Achremais. And Kari Bey Loy Sishachev. It's we read it. The creed is Loy Sishachev. That a person is not allowed to be nishkav, so to speak. I'm not saying the grammar correctly. He can't be niveles by a man. A man is not allowed to be nivel by a man. So this tells us the passive partner also has an issur. Behema min alan. How do you know behema? Now I just want to point out the rest of the amud is going to revolve around this machlekes Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva, different manifestations of this machlekes. So it's a very important machlekes for the summit. Behema min alan. How do you know? Right here in our Mishnah, it says that a person who's veil of behema is going to have skila. The Tanur Rabbanan learned. Ish prat l'katan. It says ish. This is the pasuk is by behema. It says the isha sheyitin shechavtai bevehema v'yumas v'sebehema taroidu. A person who's bayal a behema, he should die and he should kill the behema. That's the pasuk in Emar. So the Tanur Rabban learned Ish Prat Lekatan. Asher Yitin Shchafti B'Behema, who's Boil Behema, Ben Gedela Ben Katana. Whether the Behema is a Gedela or the Behema is a Katana. I didn't understand when I was learning this before why the Havamina would be different, that there should be a difference between a Gedela and a Katana, but the Gemara had such a Havamina. Moisumas, he should die, and the Gemara says, the Brisa says, Beskila, should be with Skila. Ataymer Beskila, the Brisa asks, you're telling me it's Skila, Yenel Bachs, Misa Murs Batera, maybe it's one of the other Misas. Nemer Kan Terayu. It says over here, and it says Yehuda Targenu by Mesis. Malalam Beskila, just like over there it's Beskila. Because the pasuk says it's Beskila over there. Afkan Beskila, here also it's Beskila. That tells you an einish for the sheikhev. The bayel, then he's going to have skila. Einish the nishkav now. And how do you know an einish for the nishkav? The pasuk says kol sheikhev behema maisumas. It says kol sheikhev behema maisumas. Meaning in the sheikhev, if you don't need this for sheikhev, because one second, why don't you need this for Shaychev? Oh, because we just said we have the pasuk of Isha Sheyitin, because it says Isha Sheyitin Shchaftim B'Hema Maisumas. So that's for the Sheikhev. That's very, very clear. So then why do you need another pasuk called Sheikhev B'Hema Maisumas? Mainly in the Sheikhev, Canadian Lenishkav. If it's not for the sheikhev, you don't need it for the sheikhev. Say it for the nishkav. Lamandu einish ben the sheikhev ben the nishkav. Now we know einish both for the sheikhev and the nishkav. Ashara minayin. How do you know the lav? Now Malaymar the pasuk says v'chol behema leisitin shechavtecha l'tama ba. In any behema you shouldn't put your shchiva. You shouldn't be bayal to be l'tama. Lamandu asar the sheikhev. So this tells us an asar for the sheikhev. Because it says Laisit Nishkavtcha, the verb. The Nishkav Minayin, how do you know a non-tzara for the Nishkav? Tamlemer Liyah Kaddish B'nai Yisrael, V'gaimer, V'gam Kaddish Yahivaratz, V'gaimer. So he uses the same pasuk to tell you that, just like we said, the same pasuk to tell you that there's Liyah Kaddish goes on Behemas, on Mishkav Zachar, it also goes on Mishkav Behema. Dibur Rabbi Shmuel, that's how Rabbi Shmuel learns. So Rabbi Shmuel learns that both the pasuk Liyah Kaddish is an separate Isra both for Behema and for Zachar. Rabbi Kiva Aimer and it's Rabbi Kiva says you don't need this. It says in the pasuk about Behema you shouldn't put so it says don't give your shchiva, you can't be sheichev either, and it's bayol you. So that tells you both for the sheichev and for the nishkav. So now this is Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel. That's their shita. Now the Gemara is going to try to apply their shita to a couple of different cases. Gemara starts off with this case. Habal Zachar, behavior of Zachar. Someone did two averos. He was bayil Zachar, and he brought a Zachar to be bayil him. Not two different cases. One case. One guy did two things. Rabbi Vo says, Rabbi Shmuel chayiv shnayim. According to Rabbi Shmuel, he's chayiv, and he did a b'shegeg. So according to Rabbi Shmuel, he's going to be chayiv two chatois, because it's two different psukim. Chadam leisishkav, one from leisishkav. Chadam leiyeh kaddish, one from leiyeh kaddish. Two different psukim. But the different Rabbi Kiva, however, according to Rabbi Kiva, he's only going to be chayiv one. Why? Leisishkav, leisishachev. That's the same words that Rabbi Kiva is darshan the Kri to say that it's including both. But that's one pasuk. If it's only one pasuk, it's only one lav. If it's only one lav, it's only one chatas. So even though he did these two asurim in one helam, he's going to have only one chatas because it's coming from the same pasuk. Okay, that's one case. Now, Habala behema behavi behema alav. Somebody did the same thing as we said before, but instead of doing it with the zachar, he did it with the keva, with the behema. He was bayil of behema, and he had a behema be bayil him. Amar Rabbi says, the Rabbi Shmuel chayav shtayim. Same thing. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you chayav two. Chadam leisidin shechavtecha. One from the pasuk leisidin shechavtecha, which is by behema. V'chadam leiyah kaddish, and one from the pasuk of leiyah kaddish. But the Rebbe Kiva in chayav alachas, you only chayav one. Why? Because he learns it from the same pasuk. Shechavtecha ushkiva secha, which is the kri and the ksiv. Chadi, it's one pasuk, so you only chayav one. That's how Rabbi Vo learns, according to Rabbi Shmuel and according to Rabbi Kiva. However, Abaye Amar, Afilu div Rabbi Shmuel nami in chayav alachas. Rabbi disagrees with Rabbi Vo what Rabbi Shmuel holds. He says even according to Rabbi Shmuel, you're only going to be chayav one. Ksiv leiyah kaddish begavri ksiv. When the pasuk says L'iyah Kadesh, it's not talking about behemoths. It's talking about people. That pasuk in L'iyah Kadesh B'nei Yisrael, L'iyah Kadesh B'nei Yisrael, it's talking about bias between human beings. It's not talking about bias between behemoths. El Rabbi Shmuel Azhar L'nishkav Menalei. So then, according to Rabbi Shmuel, according to Abaya, how does he have an Azhar for the Nishkav? Because we said before that the Azhar for a Nishkav by behema is from L'iyah Kadesh. And so Abaye says, Naflei mikol sheich behema moisumas. The pasuk we brought down before, it said Koshech behema moisumas. We said that's an extra pasuk, and we said Imeina Inyan. So we say that over here also. Imeina Inyan l'sheichev t'nei l'nishkav. Zakt Abaye achidesh. The after Rachmana l'nishkav lashon sheichev, the Torah comes to that you can learn out the nishkav from the lashon of sheichev, to tell you a lesson with this. Just like a sheikhev is, the Torah gives an einish and gives the lav, so here also in the nishkav you have the einish and the lav. So according to Rabbi Shmuel, according to Abaya, by behema you also have two. Because sorry. According to Abaya by behema, according to Shmuel, you're only going to have one. But the Maisa, you're learning from that same pasuk, from the Sheichev and the Nishkav, and therefore you're only going to be chayav one. Okay. So I'm sorry, they're not both coming from. Rashi explains they're both coming from the pasuk of Leisidin Shechavtecha. One from the basic pshat in the pasuk, and one because it's iskash to nishkav. And since you don't have two different psukim, completely different psukim, you're only going to have one chatas. Okay. Now another case. Nirva l'zachar v'nirva l'behema. Somebody, a man, who was nirva to a zachar, and he was nirva to a behema. So now, both these cases, what do you do? What's the halacha? Rabbi Vo says, Liv Rabbi Kiva chayav shtayim. According to Rabbi Kiva, you chayav two. Chadim leisishkav, one for leisishkav, chadim leisidin shechavtecha. Leisishkav is talking about being mishkav sachar, and leisidin shechavtecha is talking about the behema. So you have two. The Rabbi Shmuel in chayav alachas, but according to Rabbi Shmuel, you only need chayav one because idi lo yiyah kadeshu. For the mishkav, since he's the nirva over here, Rabbi Vo says Rabbi Shmuel learns this both of them from L'iyah Kadesh, and since he learns them both from L'iyah Kadesh, you only have one lav, and since you only have one lav, you only have one chatas. Here, Abaye disagrees. Abaye Amar Afil di Rabbi Shmuel nami chayav shtayim. Even according to Rabbi Shmuel, you're going to be chayav two. Why? The ksiv kol sheichim v'mehema moisumas. Pasuk says kol sheichim v'mehema moisumas, and ein in l'sheichim t'neim l'nishkav. Give it to an Indian for nishkav. After Rachman l'nishkav l'ashon sheichim. Ma shoichev anash ve'ezer, af nishkav anash ve'ezer. So just like the shoichev, you have an einish and the azhara. So to the nishkav, you have einish and azhara. So you have a separate pasuk for behema, and because according to Abaya, lo yeh kaddish doesn't apply by behema. Plus you have lo yeh kaddish for the man, the humans. So therefore, even according to Rishmal, he says you're going to be chayiv too. Aval habala zachar vehevi zachar olav. Habala behema vehevi behema olav. This is Abaye speaking. Somebody did 4 Averis over here. First he was Bayal Zachar, then he brought a Zachar to him to be Bayal him, then he was Bayal Behema, and then he brought a Behema to be Bayal him. Right? This is not a good person over here. Right? Okay, but he did a Peshegeg. Now the question is how many Chatas he has to bring. So maybe he's not such a bad person, but he's a very ignorant person. Okay? Bein l'Rabavo, bein l'Abaya, Rabbi Shmuel Chayiv Shalish, Rabbi Akiva Chayiv Shtayim. I'm sorry. So both according to Rabbi Vo. So this is not Abaye speaking. This is the Gemara speaking. The Gemara says, but this following case, everyone's going to be masking. Bein Rabbi Vo, bein Abaye, Rabbi Shmuel Chayiv Shalish. Both according to Rabbi Shmuel and both according to Rabbi Vo and according to Abaye, Rabbi Shmuel will hold the Chayiv 3. Rabbi Akiva Chayiv Shtayim. According to Rabbi Akiva, you're going to be Chayiv 2. Why? Because according to Rabbi Shmuel, you have Lo Yeh Kadesh, which is going to be one Isser both for Behema and for people. Plus you have a separate pasuk of Kol Shechem Behema Ma'isumas. Plus you have I'm going to say it the way Rashi says it because that's clearer than what I'm saying from my memory. According to Rabbi Vahu, so the person, let's read this Rashi inside. We have another 2 minutes and right before the Tanur Rabbanan. Let's read the Rashi inside. Bein Rabbi Vahu, you see it? It's about 2/3 of the way down in the thin lines.
Thin line.
Yeah. Bein Rabbi Vahu, bein Labaya. See it?
Yeah.
Bein Rabbi Vo, bein Labaya, Rabbi Shmuel Chayiv Shalish. Both according to Rabbi Vo or according to Rabbi Abaya, according to Rabbi Shmuel, you're Chayiv too. Rabbi Vo, who according to Rabbi Vo, Bala Zachar, when he's Bala Zachar, Milay Sishkav. Hevi Zachar Alav, Milay Kadesh. Because that's Rabbi Vo holds that Milay Kadesh is by Begavri. Everyone's masking. According to Abaya, to Rabbi Vo, you always have that. Bala Behema, Milay Sidin Shechavtacha. As nirva lebehema, you're not going to be chayiv a 4th one because you're already chayiv al hevi zachar alav to be chad karnafki. You learn that from Liyah Kadesh, so you only have more than 3. La Baya, and according to Abaya, again according to Rabbi Shmuel, Bala zachar behavior olav training being bayal zachar and bringing the zachar onto him. Those are 2 different ones. One is from Leisin Shechavtcha, and one is from the Ezachar Leisishka V'Liyah Kadesh. And because Liyah Kadesh is talking about humans according to Abaya, well, Behema V'Aviyalav Leisin Shechavtcha. That comes from Leisin Shechavtcha. Nirva lebehema lemechayev. But nirva lebehema, you're not going to be chayev to keep the chazina on nirva mehai kra k'chol sheichem behema. Since you see nirva from the pasuk of kol sheichem behema, yidafikti rachmana b'lashon sheichev lemechayev alachas. Since the Torah took it out b'lashon sheichev, you only chayev one because it's the same pasuk. Kivan she'en lechalukim b'lavin because they're not different in the lavin. So therefore, according to Abaya, even according to Rabbi Shmuel, you're only going to be chayiv. You're going to be chayiv 3, but according to both of them, according to Rabbi Akiva, you're chayiv 2 because Rabbi Akiva combines the 2 in one pasuk, both by behema and by people. He learns from leisishkav, leisishachev, and leisidin shechavtecha and leisidin shchivasecha. So therefore, you're only going to be chayiv 2. Okay, let's stop here. B'ez Hashem, we'll pick it up tomorrow.